Yo, 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 hit 'em high, hit 'em low. Welcome to the Noble Just Ball podcast. It's your boy Nick Hughes alongside Kyle Phillips, Brandon Brito. How's it going, gentlemen? Brandon, welcome back. It's been a nice little bit without you. Missed you a lot, sir.
Missed you guys a lot. I see a lot has changed. I agree. Fuck cancer. And I'm not going to talk about the other background. Nice to see
Oh,
you,
we're
Kyle.
we're we're gonna get right into those, but absolutely the first matter. Brandon, my Dragon Ball Z baseball team was objectively better than Kyle's, right?
I'm not gonna lie. You reigned supreme there. I watched. I kind of try hop on for like 2 seconds. It was pretty good. I liked it. Sorry, Kyle.
Awesome. Fuck yeah. Hey, don't apologize to Kyle. The free agent prediction episode that we did with me, him, and Julian, Kyle, just by sheer points, is up like 30 something over Julian and I. It's not close. We owe him beer. So this is just really unfortunate for me. So, couple of housekeeping notes here. We'll start with what's going on behind Kyle. Uh, Apparently, every time we get on this podcast, Carlos Correa has a new team. So that's something. He is a Minnesota Twin again, 6 years, 200 million. I guess the obvious and only real question at this point is, does it stick? Kyle, you first.
Uh, obviously it's pending another physical, but the Twins already know his whole deal and everything. So, uh, this is literally the only other place I think he can go. I mean, there's the only team that's going to be okay with whatever is going on with his leg. So, hopefully, this is the end of the Carlos Correa free agent saga.
Possibly. Brandon, what do you think?
I don't know. I agree with Kyle. Hopefully, it's the end. I mean, the only other option he would have is to do another one of those like bullshit 3 year, but like it's really a 1 year deal because it's an opt out after every year. So clearly there's something up if a couple of teams, not only are a couple of teams reaching out when it comes to the physical, but then no other team is jumping out, only the team that he was on before. So I
Yeah,
mean, it sucks. He definitely was an all-star. He probably still is an all-star, but the question is how long will he be an all-star? So
that's
I
fair.
get
That's
that.
fair. All right. And if there is a fourth team this off season, Brandon, who will it be?
Honestly, I could see the Cleveland Guardians being a fourth team.
Ooh, wow. Interesting. Kyle, who's your fourth?
I really don't see another team. I don't even know why the Twins are even bidding against themselves. I would just held out to see how low it could go because there's literally no other team.
I said Texas Rangers. I said, screw it. Why not sign a third $200 million shortstop in 2 years? Uh, just go over the top with it if you're going to go all the way. Other sort of housekeeping behind me, obviously, fuck cancer. Wishing all the best to White Sox closer Liam Hendricks, suffering from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Wishing him all the best in his recovery. Another sports story we might have missed, DeMar Hamlin as well, and all that scary stuff that went out with him over in the NFL. So for today's episode, we're going to do, quite frankly, we're just going to fill in some blanks here for a couple of contenders. We're going to go two contenders in each division, essentially. The East in each league sort of gets an extra one. We're going to start out west, and we're going to talk about the missing piece for the San Diego Padres, who went to the NLCS. They need one more starter, it seems. Uh, you know, right now, rotation is Musgrove, Snell, Darvish, probably Seth Lugo or Nick Martinez. How do you feel that last hole?
Honestly, I think that they may just go to their young guys, pull someone up from AAA. It was projected for Dylan Lesko to be in the rotation anywhere or somewhere in that bullpen. So maybe just give him the shot. And then I see either that or they may go for any one of the pitchers not named Sandy Alcantara in Miami. I mean, they're what is it? Their prospect list isn't that deep as it is, but Miami's clearly willing to sell for anything, and they're doing whatever type of rebuild they want to pretend they're doing constantly. So those are my two things that I say.
Yeah, I had that almost, I mean, pegged exactly the same ways. I have them trading seems to be the best option for them. I went Pablo Lopez specifically. A deal where Miami needs a center fielder. They get Trent Grisham, who apparently Padres are willing to part ways with. Dylan Lesko's in that package, and Eguy Rosario's an infield prospect as well, going back to Miami for what's essentially 3 years, I think, of Pablo Lopez team control remaining. So
That's
I can't
pretty.
see
That's
why
pretty
not.
good. I mean, that's pretty good there just because of all the control they would have for Pablo Lopez. And they have to worry about so much money being spent after this offseason as it is.
Yeah,
Having someone on the cheap locked down for a few years is the smart way to go.
yeah. Kyle, how do you feel?
Um, I mean, I feel the same way. I like all those options there. I definitely see them trying to make a move for like someone like for just for the rest of the year, and then see who's available in the free agency at the end of the year. Just someone
I
to
like
plug
that.
in for a little bit.
I like that. I like that a lot. My only fear was because I know Snell and Darvish both also expire at the end of the year. So I always it's the same thing I felt about the Yankees was like, this idea of potentially pursuing like a guy who's gonna hit free agency also at year's end, where I said, man, that like suddenly having to fill 3 spots in your rotation in a given offseason just feels menacing. All right, moving on. We're gonna jump over to the Los Angeles Dodgers, perennially feeling like they're the top of the league, if not just the NL West. Now, though, feels like they got a number of holes. Uh, what would you say is the most pressing? Kyle, I'll kick it over to you first. Do you have like a one spot on the field that you think might be a little harder for them to fill internally?
Um, I mean, they got some glaring holes. Like they lost Trey Turner, wasn't able to get Xander Bogaerts. So I mean, I'm probably gonna say shortstop, and I think it's always gonna be like a very difficult spot to 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 fill in the middle of the season because shortstop's such like a primo position.
Yeah,
So I think that's probably their biggest glaring hole. But they always do well in the farm system, so there's always another guy they can get, and then they're always willing to spend money. So
true. Yeah,
Yeah. I think I mean I agree with the fact that they're always willing to spend money, but I feel like they took a weird approach to this offseason,
yeah,
specifically because of the luxury tax stuff. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they passed the luxury tax, what is it, 2 years in a row or 3 years in a
yeah.
row?
No, so they
Let's
passed it to if they pass it the third year, like the fines or whatever it is doubles, something like that.
and they like lose like a significant amount of picks. So I think that's really why we haven't heard too much from the Dodgers. Because it's like once you go back under, then it resets. So I
Yeah,
think they're gonna. I really don't see this being their year, so to speak. I mean, the Dodgers, as Kyle said, like they have a mass amount of talent in the minors. They may give guys a shot. I think Gavin Lux is going to be their shortstop for the year, but he's a tried and true to me second baseman. So I don't think that he'll stay there. That being said, I struggle to answer this question because like every position that's needed, like of all the 3 of the positions, center field, shortstop, second base, I always talk about middle. You focus on the middle, building up the middle. I think they're going to take the year off, and I think they're going to sign like a Jerson Profile, put him in left field, some type of bat, some versatility. Maybe once in a while move Mookie over to center, and kind of just play with their farm system, see what they got, and then come deadline, if they're in the mix, the Dodgers will do what the Dodgers do.
see, here's the thing is I can't imagine, and I really struggle with this idea of the Dodgers sort of just mailing one in. I feel like they've just when you're so accustomed to sitting on top for so long, I can't imagine them just sort of, wiping their hands of this. And I think I cheated a little bit on this, veering from the prompt. I went, what's a trade I can make for 2 guys who fill 2 of the spots? And the one I stumbled into is a deal with the Baltimore Orioles, where the Dodgers give up a trio of prospects in Ryan Pepiot, Michael Bush. I have oh, I'm sorry, I have Ryan Pepiot and Michael Bush, their top 2 prospects, along with Max Muncy, who's still under 2 years of team control. Going to the Orioles for Cedric Mullins and Jorge Mateo, who is now kind of positionless with Gunnar Henderson coming up for the O's. So it essentially fills two hyper athletic spots for the Dodgers up the middle. Gavin Lux gets to play short. You get to keep Chris Taylor in left. You don't really have to worry about it at that point. Depending on Trace Thompson, because he only really had the one really good month in a career. So I cheated a little bit on that one.
A good assumption. And you could, if with that same logic, you'd also do the whole the Brian Reynolds situation.
Well,
too.
yeah, no, that was also on my list.
I'm sorry.
I was like, no, it's all good. I think I liked the Mullins thing more because it also comes with a shortstop.
Fair point.
I mean, you would have to like give up the world to get Brian Reynolds and O'Neal Cruz. So, the Orioles thing just seems doable.
Well, for me, I feel like if they did it, they would go for Brian Reynolds, and they do a Brian Reynolds and David Bednar package to shore up that back of the rotation, the back of the bullpen, get a nice little center fielder that can easily slide over to left the older he gets, under team control for a little while, keep them under the luxury tax. And I mean, the Dodgers, as you said, have so many prospects. They can make it happen.
Another quick Dodgers note. I don't know if it factors into anything else we'll talk about for you guys. So, stop me short if anything. Trevor Bauer is a Major League Baseball player again, but is not with the Los Angeles Dodgers anymore. Again, if he factors into any of you guys' things for a contender, please stop me. If not, does he play Major League Baseball in 2023?
I want to say no, but I think eventually somebody that's who came into the season not being a contender and is playing really well, and they need another starting pitcher. I could see someone doing it. But I don't see the starting of the season him coming out of spring training and being a starting pitcher in the league.
From what I heard and like beat reporters that I watched, he's also very much out of shape. So I don't see him being on a team to start off as it is. I mean, sensitive topic, and a right one for what it's worth. Domestic violence is not something that we condone on the No Bull Just Ball podcast, but I think that it's something that he didn't help himself with. He antagonized MLB, antagonized Manfred. Nobody wants to get near that with a 10-foot pole. I mean, if they need it come deadline, or if they need it come closer to the end of the season, it's the thing. But him not being in shape is a big factor, so I don't see him signing.
Yeah. I think the only way I saw it happening, I did not see it with a contender. For me, it was more just like a sort of, a Cincinnati Reds or an Oakland A's, a
so
team
much to
that
eat up innings.
No, honestly, just like no one, whoever takes him on is going to take heat, for taking on Trevor Bauer. But it's almost like once you get the stink off of him by the deadline, if he's pitching well, you can flip it for some prospects kind of thing to a contender who needs a starter. Was the only way this added up in my head. Back to our contender list. We'll go American League, stay in the West. Seattle Mariners have been sort of this like team on the rise the last couple of years. They've made some moves, some really interesting stuff. The sort of position of need that I sort of outlined is kind of a power bat in the either at left field specifically, or I guess you could factor in a designated hitter. Any strong thoughts here on some ideas?
I don't think that it's just what's available. I don't think there's anything worth getting in the DH realm. I think it sucks because the only real name available is Jerson Profar. But I mean, like, you have to go for a trade at this point. Off the top of my head, I really can't see anyone wanting to unload. I mean, they traded away Winker, which clearly made no sense because now they need to fill that hole, and it's like, what's going to go on,
Yeah, the only tradable thing that I saw was CJ Cron in Colorado, who, this podcast, big CJ Cron guys. Big fans. Him sort of splitting time at DH, or a guy who sort of had that resurgence in Seattle once upon a time, and maybe he could just do it again. Nelson Cruz, still a free agent, I believe. So, I thought that would be an interesting, like, you just need a guy to show up and hit in the middle of your order. Why not? I guess.
He
I didn't know
researched
how.
his career a couple years ago in Seattle before, so I could
Yeah,
see it.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Go back and, give it another go. Cal, what do you think there?
I couldn't really think of anybody like left field wise, but I think in terms of DH, I mean, the only people I could really think of is Nelson Cruz, maybe like a Luke Voigt. I think he's still a free agent.
Yeah,
So
I didn't even
I
think
don't
of
know.
Luke. Luke is a good one,
Tough
actually.
position.
Yeah. I actually like that a lot because then it also spells like the first base need with Ty France, you could swap on and off. Staying in that division, the bane of my existence and Kyle's as well, the Houston Astros, feels probably at this point like the most complete ball club in recent memory somehow, despite losing Carlos Correa and then Justin Verlander in consecutive years. I'm not sure how they got better after that, but they did. Uh, it's a weird thing. The only thing you could theoretically say they still need is a catcher that is not named Martin Maldonado. Uh, Again, I think it's an in-house sort of fix potentially with Martin Maldonado. They got a couple young kids. If I can jump right on this one, my immediate favorite here was trading with the Blue Jays. I know the Blue Jays just unloaded Gabriel Moreno to Arizona. They still have two very, very, very good all-star caliber catchers up there. One who's just sort of shoehorned into playing DH. I say they trade for the better defender in Danny Jansen. Still a couple years of team control. You can give up one of, the Blue Jays love developing catching prospects apparently. So if you can send up Yainer Diaz, who's on your 40 man now to make space, along with Brian Abreu, who's sort of a heavy throwing righty out of the bullpen for the Astros. I think it sort of works. You get 2 years out of Danny Jansen, and then at that point you either resign him or pray to God Corey Lee figures out how to hit at the big league level. So that was my sort of way to go about this.
I think that I'm actually surprised because they were actually one of the teams who I really thought would be in on McCann because they have a catcher need. So I was like, maybe they would take McCann off for hands, or Navarro. I mean, the only other viable options are what Gary Sanchez, who may be their de facto pick just because they have enough good going on in that team. Just stick him back there and hope he catches the ball by it with his mask or something at this point. I don't know.
Wait,
Love's not
can I just stop you there, Kyle? Just a off the top reaction here. How angry would you be if the Astros pick up Gary Sanchez and fix him?
Fixing him is not possible. So I'd be quite happy if he went to the Houston Astros.
No,
Now,
he
now,
goes.
now, now
He
that you
goes.
brought that up, I kind of want that to happen.
He goes Houston Astros. He hits like 250, 30 home runs and
Bro,
plays an
I've been
average behind
I've
them.
been asking this for years, and I don't understand your fascination with Gary Sanchez.
I love Gary.
And I don't know why.
And Gary, the Kraken. I mean, I just, he was just fun. Don't come on.
I don't know. To put you out of your misery, I'll just say that they're either going to get him or didn't they trade for Christian Vasquez or is he now on the Twins?
He's now on the Twins. He was a midseason rental from the Red Sox, and he walked.
That makes a little more sense then. Okay. Well, then, yeah, I mean, Gary Sanchez or George Alfaro. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's up in the air. Either way, you're not improving that position.
Yeah.
But with everything else going for them, we'll see if they really need it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a weird one. Milwaukee in the NL Central. I have it listed here as, I mean, it's another team I think that needs kind of a power bat. And I guess you could go one of two routes here, either second base or third base, depending on where you prefer Luis Urias. Internally, Urias is an option. Abraham Toro, who they acquired with the Winker deal. Mike Brosso is also on the team. Uh, I didn't love the internal options. And then I found an external option that I absolutely fell in love with. Uh, Gleyber Torres.
Who would they trade for him?
Okay. Uh, Currently listed as their starting center fielder. Garrett Mitchell, a left-handed hitting center fielder, young. The Brewers are another team who, in that sort of Diamondbacks realm, have a lot of young, athletic, left-handed bats coming up, and they're all sitting behind now Jesse Winker, Christian Yelich. There's only one center field. I don't totally know how all of these dudes are about to play the same position for the Brewers. So why not unload one of them? So I have Garrett Mitchell along with Holby Milner, lefty, going to the Yankees bullpen in exchange for Gleyber Torres and catching prospect Austin Wells, who is another kind of guy who for the Yankees with Jose Trevino, Kyle Higashioka, and also now they have Ben Rortvedt, who's part of that Donaldson trade last year. It's kind of a stacked position on the Yankees, so uh, I thought it was a pretty fair swap. It gives the Brewers that sort of middle of the order bat and plays a decent second base, and maybe he could be an all-star again, not in New York.
Get it done. Get it done.
Hey man, another thing they could do that I was thinking about was, what if they sign Solano now, keep him halfway through the season, then do a mid-season trade with you guys for your boy Donaldson.
Ooh,
I
okay.
mean, at the end of the day, I don't know how well he's going to be faring for you guys, and you can steal from them for sure.
That's interesting. I like that. I just in my head I keep telling myself the Donaldson contract is like immovable, no matter how bad I want it. Kyle, you have any thoughts here?
I really like the Gleyber Torres idea. I think that works quite well for both squads.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a weird one. I accidentally really sold myself on this. Like, my new favorite tool is like my new favorite toy is that MLB trade values thing. And I just, yeah, had way too much fun on that. Yeah, it's really weird. Uh, in the division, the team everyone in the Central is trying to catch the St. Louis Cardinals. And I mean, to put it lightly, in a very similar vein to the San Diego Padres, they need controllable starting pitching. They need somebody who's going to be there beyond this season because they are set to lose essentially everyone not named Steven Matz is going to be a free agent at the end of this year. 4 out of 5 of their current starting rotation is set to hit the free agent market at year's end. Uh, Anybody have a strong this was a weird one for me because I feel like free agency is basically a no-go at this point for a multi-year starter.
So what I was thinking initially, you mentioned his name before, but Pablo Lopez was someone who I was thinking was going to fit here.
Like
Just it's cheap. His team is traditionally, historically proven that they don't really like to open up the checkbook for anyone not named Albert Pujols or your third baseman. So other than that, and Arenado. Other than that, I see them being on the cheaper end and giving up a couple of prospects. Another name to think about, though, we just spoke about their team, but I could see them even dealing for like a Corbin Burns or a Brandon Woodruff. Corbin Burns has a couple years of control here, and he's still pretty cheap. And I could see them trying to get that. That'll fix the issue at least at the top of the rotation, and then they'll just trickle down whatever they can from there.
I love that, but also I know Kyle knows I'm the biggest like anti-trading in a division guy. Like, because I don't know how many Brewers fans actually exist in this world, but I imagine they would be very upset that the Cardinals just got their like Cy Young Award winner.
Well, once they traded away Josh Hader, it was like you knew that the Brewers were no longer trying to be legit anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So I went like super duper young here, and I thought, okay, who's like a big league ready guy that I can trust the Cardinals to just take in and figure something out with? because I feel like they're very good about this. How about former number one overall pick Casey Mize? Lost some steam since hitting the big leagues. The Cardinals are a team who have a little bit of a logjam at that first base corner outfield. So another guy who's come up recently, former first round pick as well, Alec Burleson, going to Detroit, almost a 1-for-1 swap there. Casey Mize comes over, can almost act as like a six man in that rotation. You ease him in, there's not a lot of pressure there to perform. And hopefully you build him back up to be what people once thought he could be.
I really like that. That actually is a really, really good choice.
Oh, good about that one. I
I mean,
just
how many years of control does he still have?
Casey Mize 4.
4? Jeez. Okay.
Full years of control. Uh, at that point, it's just regaining confidence, and when you have that lineup going to bat for you every day, I feel like that's possible. And
Yeah,
again, it's when you're losing 4 starters in a given off season, I feel like it's a must to have someone who's going to be there a little while.
Yeah, he's still coming back from the ACL injury, right?
Casey Mize,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they said he's good to go for spring training. I could be wrong on that though. I believe he's good to go. Alternatively, my other one was Cole Irvin from Oakland. Another guy who has some big league experience under his chops. Now he's a little older. I think he's a shade under 30. So it's still I think 4 years of team control, but a little bit on the older side. You can get away with just getting up a pitching prospect in exchange kind of deal.
I like it.
Uh, from here, we're going to flip over to the Cleveland Guardians, a very, very fun baseball team at the moment, but a team who, while fun, is younger on average than all of us. So that's kind of a weird thing for a competing roster in any sport. They have no veterans. There is not a single member of the pitching staff specifically who is age 30 or older, which kind of blew my mind. And I thought, man, wouldn't it have been great in that Yankee series for the Cleveland Guardians to have a veteran who could just sit down and say, chill the hell out, we got this. So that's really where I went with this. There are literally no in-house options, again, because no one is 30 for a while. I think Shane Bieber is technically the oldest man on that staff at 27.
It's like insane how like young that staff is.
And actually, I think he's 26, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. The question is, do you want to go starter or reliever here? And in my case, I went reliever. I said Andrew Chafin would be a great ad here for that bullpen. Lefty arm, plays well off of Emmanuel Clase and Steve Karinchak in the bullpen. You got a good mix of starters, more young guys coming up, but at least somebody somewhere during pitchers and catchers who, saw the 80s.
I'll leave it to you, Kyle.
If you would have asked me this question like yesterday, I would have said I wish they would have picked up like Johnny Cueto on a short-term deal, but clearly that's gone. So, which really sucks because I really don't know because they definitely do need some better presence in that rotation stuff like that. But my answer was Johnny Cueto, so no, I don't really have anything.
Yeah, originally that was my my 1A was Johnny Cueto, and then the second starter I have listed is Zach Greinke.
That's a good one. He's borderline retired, but he's some age. A couple people that I thought about, and I cheated with the starter. But Michael Wacha is someone who I could see, adding to the back inning eater. Has been around the block. But then Michael Fulmer is another name from the Tigers. Speaking of that, trying to like just get rid of people. I feel like he could slot in as a starter, but I know he's probably gonna be a bullpen guy. So it's just some experience to add to things down.
I like that. I actually like that a lot. Yeah, I mean, Then transitioning from the Guardians to the most disappointing team in the division, but somehow still the second place finisher, the Chicago White Sox. A team who continued throughout the season to manage to sell me on this idea that it's going to happen today, man. They're going to turn it around today. And it never really did. And it's so infuriating. Now, obviously, I think things might change a little bit more given the news with Liam Hendriks. So we're rooting the best for him. But for his club, second base has been this never-ending revolving door. They haven't been able to figure it out. Any thoughts?
I think for now, first of all, let's just call a spade here. Their manager, who we love on this podcast so much, did not step away. He, wink, wink, stepped away. And it clearly, that was a turnaround they needed. He was gone. They were able to modernize the team again. Players were actually happy to be there once in a while. Maybe you saw a smile in the locker room or two. I don't know. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I think that was the problem. In terms of that second base hole, honestly, I could see them getting this electrifying guy in the name of Jonathan VR.
Wait, who?
Jonathan VR.
Oh, damn. Okay. Damn. All right. You had me in the first half there. Go ahead, Kyle, because I tipped my hand.
Wait.
No. Go ahead.
Wait. I want to hear what you have to say, Nick, because you got really excited for like.
I was about to say, there's no way. Like, I really went so hard with this. And I was like, all right, not only do I want to fix like the second base thing now, I hate that every year it's a new like veteran second baseman there. So I said Jonathan India of the Cincinnati Reds, former NL Rookie of the Year. You flip them, Garrett Crochet. Again, that's a little harder to stomach now, though, now that I look at it. Damn, I hate that now. Because now they don't have Liam Hendriks at the back end of that bullpen. So this made sense like 3-4 days ago. But it was Garrett Crochet and Oscar Colas, who again is another young outfielder who does not have a spot because of other young guys ahead of him in that outfield. And I said, then you bring in Jonathan India, who can literally sit on top of your lineup, bat 300, steal some bases, hit 20 home runs. Like, it worked so well. Maybe they can still pull that off. They got a lot of bullpen arms in Chicago.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. I don't know. I could see it being either Jonathan VR, or a name in the past that we could slide at shortstop and maybe make him the second baseman. Didi Gregorius. No one's talking about him. He's a name that's very much out there. He had pop at one point. Last year wasn't a great year for, or last 2 years, I should say. But that's someone who you could probably get on the cheap and keep around for a while if it's a resurgent career.
Oh, I like that one. I actually like that a lot. Kyle, you have any thoughts here?
I kind of expect the White Sox to continue to just continue to have that problem, just kind of like put band-aids on it. So I could just see them trading for someone that's like cheap, like an Odor or something. I don't know, something that's really not going to really boost up that position. They're just going to just try to play through it.
Yeah, and I worry about that. Another sort of veteran name that I just sort of popped up on my sort of idea list here, Rougned Odor, as a power hitting second baseman. I don't know what he's doing lately, but I mean,
they just have to figure it out over there, and I don't think they know yet that they have to figure it out. So maybe that's the first figuring out you have to do, and then figure.
That's valid points all the way around. All right, moving into our very, very packed East, the division we like to talk about most on this podcast because the Central sucks and we don't want to stay awake to start a game at 10 o'clock. So we talk about the East a lot here. And we're going to start with one of Brandon's favorite teams, the Philadelphia Phillies.
You're a funny guy.
I know, thank you. I try my best. So with the Philadelphia Phillies, quite frankly, they're another team that needs one more starter. One more guy thrown in that rotation. So I look at it and I say, does it really matter for a Phillies team that has Noel locked up? I think another year after this one, you still have Ranger Flores, you still have um, Zach Wheeler for a little bit longer. So there's some options in Philadelphia right now. Who's that one more guy you can add? Uh, there were two names that popped off the list for me. The first one was somebody you mentioned earlier, Brandon, was Michael Wacha here. I like Michael Wacha a lot as a guy who's been in playoff games, can, sort of do the damn thing. And the other one for me was Joe Ross, former Washington Nationals pitcher, who knows the division pretty well, can sort of fill in some gaps until some young guys come of age. But
I could see that. I think that'll fit. The Phillies are a team, and I said this to you earlier today. They're an annoying team that will get all it takes is them to get hot at the right moment, and then they're in the World Series. Because I genuinely think that that's what happened with them. Which I mean, granted, the team that wins the World Series, they always say is the healthiest team and the hottest team at the time. So I respect it wholeheartedly. I could see Michael Wacha. You said a name that I was thinking about in terms of Zach Greinke. Maybe he's a guy that you put in the back there.
yeah,
But like an older, experienced guy on a 1 year deal is essentially the mold that we're seeing here.
yeah, I like that. Kyle, any other ideas there?
Well, I don't really see too many options in free agency, so I see them like going into the season with what they got, and then obviously because they're in win now mode, they're gonna try to make a big trade. And I see them
Yeah,
going like after like someone like Marcus Stroman because he has like a player option next year. So
I
Chicago
think
will probably think like, hey, we don't want to lose him without getting
yeah,
anything out of it. And I don't see the Cubs being, big time players when it comes to a deadline. So they're going to be in sell mode. So I could see that happening.
I like that.
I think it's pretty
That's an
good.
interesting one. I like that a lot, actually. All right. Now moving on to Brandon's least favorite team, the New York Mets. Yeah, maybe,
uh,
maybe you don't have strong feelings about them at all. Brandon, what would you say? You know what? I had it as the bullpen, but what would you say is the biggest need? And we should have just gone to you straight away for this.
so I mean, I'll start with what's written up. Honestly, I'll give my take on the Korea thing too, because I didn't even mention what I thought about it. At the end of the day, I think the Korea thing played out the way I'm just happy it ended. That's my overall response on all of this. I was tired of them just sitting there mulling over. Honestly, I read somewhere today and it made so much sense there. Like, I feel like the Mets kind of just let this tail out because they didn't want to sign him in the first place. And they were kind of like obligated to because Steve Cohen went on record at the start of it. They were like, shit. They saw the physicals and they were like, we can't back out and go against our word now. So we're just going to not say anything and
Yeah.
let him figure it out on its own and drag our feet. I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense. I will say though, it sucks because if we signed him, the Mets would have at least won one, if not two, because the Mets need a big bat. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think we're arguably number one, if not top three in the league in rotations, arguably a decent bullpen, which I had a person for to add in a second. But in regards to the offense, nothing changed. You added Omar Navarro. That's not offense adding activity. So I don't see anything changing unless they go out. And my heart is hoping now. Steve Cohen does not like to get dicked around. At the end of it, you see him turn around and you go, oh, okay, like this didn't work for him. So he's going to turn around and make it all these extra unnecessary movements. So I see them entering hardcore the Brian Reynolds sweepstakes. I see them going, and that'll be their fourth outfielder or their third, and move Canna to the DH slot. And then calling up Batty to make Canna and Escobar platoon at DH. That would be the dream scenario. But my first answer is a big bat. For the bullpen, they kind of already started talking about it today, but I see them getting Zach Britton.
Ooh, I like that one. I actually didn't even consider Britton there. Huh.
And see.
That's good. That's actually really good. See, I have as my favorite for like a bullpen move. I have a trade with Pittsburgh for David Bednar here.
Ooh,
Uh, for Pittsburgh, looking to still get young, still build that core of prospects. Uh, I really like Ronnie Mauricio from the Mets, shortstop prospect. The biggest knock on him appears to be whether he can stick it short long term. And if he can play next to O'Neal Cruz at second base, that's probably the most like exciting young athletic up the middle in
yeah.
baseball. So that's Ronnie Mauricio, Matt Allen, and Joel Diaz, both right-handed pitchers from the farm system. For David Bednar there, I just, you know, I feel like the Mets haven't made the trade splash yet, and you feel like it's kind of, well, they made Brooks Raley, but one more in the bullpen would not hurt.
Yeah.
If we're throwing in a big bat for the Mets, uh, again, I'm gonna be honest, I still feel like that's a team that you almost have too much going on that bench. So I actually wonder if maybe they could be a team that I don't know. Damn, I'm trying to think of like trade options there. I don't know. Maybe they become like in the Max Kepler sweepstakes.
Yeah, but I could see that. I'd correct myself. Big bat meaning I mean big bat in a consistent way. I'm over this home run balls era. I
Yeah,
like
no, that's fair. Well, the
we're
good
not.
thing about Kepler, he doesn't strike out.
Yeah.
That's all I keep reading on Yankees Twitter is people trying to sell me on the fact that he's not Joey Gallo because he doesn't strike out.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I want a guy that's going to get on contact and get on base more times than not over hitting a home run. If you're going to give me 15 to 20 home runs, but have an OBP of like something in the 900s to 11,000s, then I'm fine with that.
That's fair.
1100.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, cool. Kyle, any thoughts on the Mets there?
Um, they clearly need one more pitcher for the bullpen. So it being the Mets, Steve Cohen, I find them figuring out a way to get Josh Hader over there.
I
I
would love
don't-
that. I would absolutely love that. I traded for him in the show, and he's doing wonders for my show.
Yeah. You know what's heartbreaking?
What?
Steve Cohen makes like the Mets feel like an MLB the show with like the forced trades on.
Or like the salary cap off, and it's the
Yeah,
best
that's
thing.
what it is really. Like you can just get everyone all the time. They can spend all of the money. Yeah. I was trying to be like reasonable. I don't know. Also, an underrated part of this whole Correa thing. How do you think Twins fans feel right now? Because I feel like I have a weird take on this, and I want to hear somebody else say something first.
Uh, I think that I mean they're happy. This is what they got. I don't think they like him. I don't think anybody likes Correa. I think he's a solid player, and so they deal with what they can get in terms of his productivity. But as soon as that starts to wane down, I think everything that started his career is going to revive itself and keep talking about it unless he wins another World Series now. So I don't. They're happy. They had a shortstop. I don't know.
How what are your thoughts there? How the Twins feel? Twins
I
fans.
mean, the Twins are in a division where they can win. So if they can get a big name dude like Carlos Correa for 6 years, why not? So I mean, honestly, I just think it's the best of what they could do, and
You
it's
just
it's
did
it's
what
it's
your
in their
background.
lap. So they're just sort of like, let's just deal with it.
All right, ready? Weird take. Twins fans, you are one of two teams so far since he has become an owner in Major League Baseball that have outspent Steve Cohen on a player. The Mets offered Carlos Correa 6 years, 157. The Twins said, no, we can do better than that. 6 years, 200. You joined the Texas Rangers in very elite company of guys who overpaid players to take it away from the Mets and still will not win your division. Uh, but you did it. You did something. Like I feel like that's you have to take the wins where they are. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, and Kyle, to your point, yes, this is probably the most winnable division in baseball. Like if in 2023 the Detroit Tigers win the division, it will not be terribly shocking. Same with the Kansas City Royals. I'll just be like, oh yeah, okay,
Everybody's in play. It's
yeah,
just who wants
basically.
it.
Who
Or
wants
who,
to finish above 500?
yeah, or who wants to lose less, I guess, because clearly they all lose.
Quite literally. All right. On to the division winner from 2022, the Atlanta Braves. Who's gonna be their post Swanson shortstop?
This is another position where I had Didi going in, just because at the end of the day, he's clearly familiar with the NL East. He's familiar with the East in general. Might as well slot him in there, get him on the cheap, maybe a couple 2-3 year deal, add an option in there, see if he's got stuff. If not, trade for a solid prospect and have him be the stopgap.
I like that. I like that. Kyle, any thoughts here?
I think they should have never let Dansby Swanson walk. But, but honestly, I don't know. I just feel like they should have been more aggressive in the free agency. If they knew Dansby Swanson wasn't coming back, they should have been more aggressive. Because I honestly don't know what exactly they could do there. Like obviously, like Brandon said, they're gonna try to get a stopgap, which I think is probably their best idea at this point. But who that is exactly, I'm not sure.
All right, so I got two for you here. Kyle, one you're gonna love, and the second one you're gonna really love. All right, so the one you're gonna love, Jose Iglesias. Come in, be a 1 year. You can throw him at the bottom of that order. He'll play a solid defensive short. You know he's gonna get on base, you know he's gonna hit for contact and sort of turn that lineup over. And then, sort of they have Vaughn Grissom, who I think they believe is the shortstop of the future. If he can stick it short, is kind of the question right now. And the one Kyle's really gonna love is a trade with the New York Yankees for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Yeah. So the Yankees would send Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and another catching prospect, Anthony Siegler, who is another guy sort of stuck in this. I think this is his last year of before the Yankees have to put him on the 40-man before he's Rule 5 eligible. In exchange for lefty Mike Soroka, who no longer has a spot on this Braves team. Post injury, he's come back and he's now listed currently, according to Roster Resource, as their 8th starter.
That's insane.
So, IKF goes there. Best case scenario, he does better than he did with the Yankees. Worst case scenario, he is a halfway, and then sort of move him to the bench to be your backup infielder / emergency catcher for the Braves. Because it's another guy who I think, Yankee fans definitely soured on quickly. And we'll get to someone else that the Yankees soured on quickly in a little bit, but that's just sort of but it might make sense for Atlanta. I don't know. So I figured Kyle might really enjoy me getting rid of all the Yankees he dislikes. So that was it.
I don't dislike IKF. I just don't think he's a solution for us at shortstop by any means.
I do like that trade, though. I think that's a good, solid trade that both sides would benefit from, just because Soroka was just unfortunately screwed over by injuries, and you guys need starting pitching depth.
Yeah, no, when I realized that it could work, I was very excited. Seriously, Cashman's throwing around all this money to hire, special advisors right now.
Our
Get your
boys.
boy up. All right. So moving on to the American League East, the Tampa Bay Rays. I have it listed here as what the thing they need most is their new G-Man Choi. They need a first baseman. Preferably someone, and I think so for each of these, I have a need and a want. So the need is middle of the order pop with decent hands at first. And the want is an inexplicable ability to dominate Garrett Cole. The way G-Man Choi always seemed to do. Just like his career numbers against Garrett Cole, like his splits are just unreal. And it's infuriating. So they need the new guy to do that. Someone I thought of initially, but is no longer available, is Brandon Belt. So that kind of went out the window for me. So then I turned to the trade market a bit here. And I thought Seth Brown from Oakland. So in a trade with the Oakland A's, the Rays would get Seth Brown, and they would send to Oakland Taylor Walls, who is the very fun defensive-oriented middle infielder, and outfield prospect Mason Hour, going back to Oakland for this one. And Seth Brown sort of fills that first base left-handed bat, and he is a career 2 for 4 against Garrett Cole. So,
Wow. That's 500. Good job.
yeah, that's something. We're doing something.
I can actually see a face that would, two faces actually that would drive Yankees fans up the edge. I could see Yuli Gurriel going there, playing first base. I mean, we're talking about someone who allegedly had a great career up until last year and was a Yankee killer, so to speak. I could see him going there, having fun, maybe restarting his career even outside of the shadow of Houston. Or you have Luke Voigt come back, go play first base there. Kind of like a fuck you to them, like I can do it without you kind of scenario. And then you play them a lot. Well, not with the new schedule, but you know what I mean.
Oh, I see in this spot CJ Cron.
Ooh,
I can see him there be like this little power battle over there.
yeah,
You
for
know?
sure. I actually really like that.
That's a pretty good one.
Hey, wait a minute. Has Trey Mancini signed anywhere?
No. I was thinking about him, but I was like, I don't know if he can play first as much. I think he's on the older end.
Yeah, he's definitely
Oh, no,
more of a DH.
It's 31, but I just don't think he got it.
Yeah, that's fair. Definitely more of a DH there. Moving on now, the Toronto Blue Jays. I have it listed here back into the bullpen. Ideally with an ability to get lefties out, but I don't see a whole lot of lefty killers, available. I think. I don't know. This was a weird one for me because this was where I had Liam Hendricks being traded to, and now that's kind of like a rough thing. So then I thought maybe Scott Barlow from Kansas City
Not a bad one.
in a
Then
trade where they get a pair of lefty prospects.
It's pretty good. I think. What do you think they would trade? What do you think they would trade top prospects or just mid tier?
Yeah, so it's their number 8 and 11, Brandon Barriera and Adam Macro, both left-handed pitchers. I think they're both AA currently is the highest level they reached.
Anyone named Brandon, I think, is going to do really well in the
Worked
MLB.
out for Nimmo.
Just a hunch.
Yeah, that's fair. Belt.
I was saying before, I think Chasen would be good here. Slide him in,
Ooh,
bullshit that bullpen up. I guess
Ooh, I
Zach
like
Britton is a name that everyone forgets about, but he'd be a good play to play as well.
That's why
for
I
sure.
see Ken Zach
Ooh,
Britton.
yeah, that would suck. I'm gonna be honest. The only thing I would be okay with, I think, is if Zach Britton just went away somewhere. Like let him end up in a National League California team. I would like that. I think
would
I
not.
would accept that. Like let him just, he's from California anyway. I think he's LA. Let him be a Dodger.
Mm-hmm. That never ends up well for anyone not named Dodgers.
Fair. All right. So then last but certainly not least, uh, everyone's favorite, the New York Yankees, possibly with the most obvious and glaring hole in professional baseball at the moment. They need a left fielder whose name is not Aaron Hicks, who is currently slated to be their opening day left fielder. I literally have on my list here needs defense and speed to cover massive left field. and wants lefty with pop who didn't get booed off the field in the Bronx by Kyle. Is literally that is literally in my notes.
Me? Me? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, Brandon. I don't know
Just
if you heard
me.
me and Kyle. Me and Kyle were at that game where we literally booed him off of the field. Like we were
I know, I heard
standing on top of him.
I was actually like on TV and I heard two distinct boos and I was like,
Yep.
oh shit, that's Nick and that's Kyle. And
Yep.
it worked out great because I was like,
Yep.
it makes
Biggest cheers Esteban Florial has ever gotten in his life, definitively, was just for being the first guy out of that dugout who is not Aaron Hicks. Like, literally made his day, like, kind of thing. Yeah, this was a weird one for me because you want it to be Brian Reynolds.
But at what cost?
Well, the thing is like they want pitching prospects, so it's not gonna happen. Uh Cedric Mullins would be cool. They're not gonna trade anybody to the Yankees. So then your question is like, oh no, are we gonna be the team that gets Max Kepler? Um, so then I got creative here. One, I really like the Brewers thing I suggested earlier. That was one. Two, let's talk about Alec Thomas, who is like the next Aaron Hicks, but it hasn't happened yet. He's like a top prospect, super athlete, lefty, uh, and came up to the major leagues and couldn't hit the ball. And the Yankees are going to teach him how to hit the ball and then how to unhit the ball. So I like that one. It's an Aaron
One hit?
Hicks. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Also, I had here Mike Yastrzemski to piss off the Red Sox fans. Trade for the son of the Red Sox great from the Giants. Let him run around in left field in Yankee Stadium, and Ian Happ from the Cubs because he deserves something nice.
You've been pushing that Ian Happ thing for 2 years,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen eventually.
actually.
I actually think you guys should go with two free agents that could also be DHs. I think you should go for Andrew McCutchen. That's a name that like
We'll
literally
bring him back.
bring him back. No one's talking about him. He clearly can play the outfield. Like he defensively is still there. Offensively, you could probably slide him in eighth somewhere, like in the batting order. Maybe get a hit or two. He's not as fast as he used to be. And I mean, you brought him up before. Trey Mancini's still available. Maybe try him out in the field, see what he does.
Yeah, my only fear with that, because like if we're going like free agent left fielders, like based on guys who can just put a ball in play and beat a lefty, I really like David Peralta. My fear is with guys like that, Yankee Stadium's left field is very, very big. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot to cover. And then, you have to go weirdly play the monster also. Uh yeah, I that just scares me for like a 40-year-old to be running around that much in the outfield. It's the reason we don't put Stanton out there. Like that is
That
literally the rationale.
I don't know. I think you guys don't put Stan out there because he has never proven since he signed his mega deal that he can play a full season anywhere. But
That's fair. That is not unfair.
Yeah, because
How do you want to?
they like playing him out there so he doesn't get cold. They
Yeah,
need him to stay warm to go hit. But I mean, obviously like the internal options are Oswaldo, Florial, and then the dude they just signed on the minor league deal, Willie Calhoun.
yeah, they
But
signed Willie Calhoun. Oh wait, another prospect I was way too big on way too long ago. Yeah, Willie Calhoun,
yeah,
really big on.
that,
but I like the idea of a Profar, but also I like the David Peralta thing you said earlier. I could definitely see that, but I see them starting the season with just having Oswaldo out there and then figuring out as the season goes along,
Yeah.
you guys,
which is unfortunate.
Aquinn's a good name too. You could plop him in center. I'm strictly thinking defense because I think at the end of the day, like offensively, you have enough power where you just need someone to just play that field. You brought up a good point with the left field wall, so I'm just trying to think like who would be someone good. that can play
Yeah,
defense.
they also recently signed another minor league deal. Rafael Ortega, who's with the Cubs, had that really good 2021, I think. And then like just was absolute dog shit last year. But I feel like it's enough. Like, I think they're just gonna throw a ton of guys out there, just on a day-to-day basis and just see what the hell happens. I think that's the mindset. And if none of them work out, then it's all right, nuclear option. We'll go trade for, I don't know who would be unhappy mid-year. Fingers crossed they just don't trade for Gallo again.
It's not even remotely possible.
Yeah.
Gallo and Correa are going to have a laugh to themselves in Minnesota together. Laughing about what? I don't know, because they're in Minnesota, but whatever.
All I'm saying is once upon a time, Brian Cashman traded for Scott Proctor 3 different times. So keep that in mind. That yeah, gentlemen, thank you guys for doing this with me. I feel like we really solved some issues for some folks, man. We really yeah, any general managers looking for special advisors, we're basically younger Omar Minayas. And that's really great, you know.
I mean, if you could sign him at this point, I'll keep my phone on.
Exactly. Why not us? Man. And look, the whole time we'll just whisper in your ear, don't sign Correa. That's literally what this podcast has become.
Or CJ Cron, but
no. It's never CJ Cron. Never ever. Never ever ever. Like absolutely. I'm so sorry. I hope he's I want him to be a nice guy.
definitely is a nice guy.
I
He
hope
also
so.
does not care for us at all.
Yeah, no, for sure. Anyway, thank you guys for doing this, man. To all the folks watching at home, it has been real. It has been nice. It has been really, really nice. And we'll see you again very soon. Kyle, say bye to the nice folks.
Happy New Year.